Welcome back to the Quick Save Podcast. My name is Josh.
I'm Alex.
And we're going to talk about gaming news today. There's some. It exists.
It's out there.
And we found it. And we brought it here to you. Let's pass it over to you, Alex. I think you've got some news about the new Pokemon trailer that dropped recently.
A wild Pokemon news appears.
Dun, 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 dun.
So, we got the second trailer drop for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We were introduced to two new professors, each of them for the game. You know, one will go into Violet, one
probably,
will be in Scarlet.
Yeah, one would be in one game, one would be in the other, you would think.
It's kind of interesting that, you know, as we get more and more deep into the Pokemon games, we are seeing more and more things like divided in them.
Yeah, they're
it's not just the legendaries anymore.
Yeah,
now
like
there's
Pokemon Sword and Shield was the gyms. You had different gyms in each game. Yeah, so it is interesting that they're splitting more stuff up.
So for one of the new professors is going to be Professor Sada, who is a female professor. Not the first time we've seen that, but
there aren't a ton.
But she is in there. And then the second professor, Professor Turo, is the male professor.
And guess what, folks? They're both hot.
They're both super hot.
They look good. I was telling Alex earlier, they look like they're straight out of a telenovela, which is maybe, I don't know if that's racist for me to say that. Maybe it doesn't.
I mean, it is, Spain Pokemon. I mean, telenovelas are traditionally Mexican.
They look good. They look good. That's for sure, though.
They look amazing. Like, taking out, the Rule 34 people out there and everything.
Oh, no. Danger.
Danger. Like, their designs, I think, are super cool. Sada is kind of like this dinosaur-esque looking professor, and Turo's like this muscle-bound dude. He looks like he might be like a dark type, like Pokemon person.
Yeah, he's kind of cool.
Sada I would place in like ground is like her preferred type. So we've also kind of been noticing that, at least in my perspective more and more, is that as we play Pokemon games, the professors have a type Pokemon that they prefer over all the rest.
Yes. Usually has to do with the region.
Yeah, the region plays a big part. We have a new potential rival as well, Nimona.
We don't know a lot about Nimona. She was just in a small... They show you, like, battling her or them or what have you. And they had, like, some electric Pokemon. I don't remember the name of it. We have the names of all the other ones. It's like a new little electric little guy.
Of course, we always got to have our Pikachu clone in every generation.
Exactly. Every gen gets one.
Also, we said Nimona, so the Rule 34 people are starting to come back around. So danger.
Get them out of here. I don't want them listening to the show anymore. You guys get out of here and touch grass.
Go touch some grass.
Touch grass. Get good. Whatever the Elden Ring players still say now. So
we are going to see 4-player co-op with customizable outfits. So, yay, we're getting what we want.
Huge. Yeah, that's huge, right? Pokemon has never had, like, this many players. There's been, like, co-op stuff in, like, Let's Go, where you could have a co-op player help you catch Pokemon and stuff like that. Obviously, there's been, like, battling and trading and stuff like that. But just, like, 4 people could just, like, play Pokemon together. Like, that's crazy.
We saw some returning Pokemon, which I think is a big thing for a lot of people. They want to know which Pokemon are coming back, as well as the new Pokemon. The Pokemon we saw in this trailer, for the second trailer, was Pikachu, Fletchling, Falafi, Choodle, Larvitar, Bagon, Venonat, which I think this is like the first time like Venonat and Venomoth is going to be in a main series game since like I think Gen 4.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a big thing that they weren't in Sword and Shield. They might have been in the DLC, I don't know, because they added a bunch of the DLC. But for sure they were not in the base game of Sword and Shield.
Going on with returning Pokemon, we're going to see Colossal, Toxapex, which I'm super hyped about. I love Toxapex.
That's how I felt about Colossal. I'm like, dude, I know he just came out in Sword and Shield, but like, I really like Colossal.
Cryogonal and Gengar, Lurantis, and Talonflame.
I did a lot of looking at the trailer. I might have missed maybe 1 or 2, but I did a lot of looking. And there's like Toxapex. You're like, I love Toxapex. I did not know Toxapex existed until I had to look up some information today, being like, I've never seen this Pokemon before in my life. But yeah, I got most of them, I think.
Let's talk a little bit about the new Pokemon as well. We both have our own favorites from what we've seen. So we talked about the electric Pokemon we saw in the beginning.
Yeah, they showed
with Nimona.
They showed 3, technically 5, but they showed 3 new, just like basic guys. Yep.
The first one we'll talk about is Smoliv.
Smoliv.
Or Smoliv, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Smoliv. He's like, he looks like Badoo. So he's like the little like bud on top, but the bud is like an olive.
Yeah,
So it's like his name is Smoliv. He's a small olive guy.
and we were kind of like thinking earlier today about like what these evolutions are going to look like. You said it's probably going to be like a tree dude.
Yeah, olives grow on trees, so I think he's going to turn into like pseudo wudo, but he's got olives on him or something.
He's going to be pseudo wudo but grass type.
Exactly. There you go. Who's your favorite?
My favorite was, I think, is what I see a lot of people talking about right now.
Big fan
Yeah,
favorite.
big fan favorite right now is Lechonk.
He's like a little truffle pig guy.
Yeah, the name Lechonk, man, like talk about like an A+ name for a Pokemon.
Both of the names, so Lechonk, like calling something like Chonky boy, and then Smoliv, like SMOL. So it's like he's small boy, and Chunky boy. Big on meme names so far, which like A+. The names are released for Smoliv and Lechonk. Really good on those.
I have high hopes going forward now after seeing these two.
Oh yes, agreed.
Lechonk is definitely going to be in my roster of Pokemon when I pick up this game.
Yep.
But let's talk a little about gameplay after we have our Pokemon that we're going to pick out here. So gameplay is mostly like a mix of the wild area that we saw in Sword and Shield, as well as some elements kind of like Legends Arceus. You know, you're going to crouch, you're going to sneak up on Pokemon, overworld throwing of the ball.
Yeah, so I think we mentioned this in our intro episode when we talked about this, but yeah, definitely Sword and Shield and Legends Arceus were kind of almost the blueprints, right? Like testing the water for like how are fans going to react to this new type of gameplay.
Especially with Legends Arceus. I mean, I feel like
that
was such a like platform game of like, will they accept this?
Yep. And so seeing the success of those games, I mean, here's the thing. Those games were going to succeed no matter what because they say Pokemon on the front. But seeing that people were receptive to these new concepts, this is kind of, I think they're all in like, hey, we tried out some of these concepts a little bit. Now we're going all in. We're going to make an entire mainline Pokemon game where you're crouching and throwing balls and the whole thing is a wild area and, you know, kind of a big departure from what you think of when you think of these old Pokemon games where you're going through the tall grass and stuff like that.
Now, I'm assuming that our wild encounters are going to be a lot like Arceus, where you will be able to eventually engage into a turn-based gameplay format of it, but for the most part, it's going to be you, the trainer, just trying to capture them outright. And that's a big deal for me, especially as a Pokemon player. I want that turn-based aspect. That's what makes Pokemon.
That's why a lot of people didn't like Let's Go, right? Catching wild Pokemon, there was no fighting wild Pokemon. You fought trainers, but when it came to Pokemon, you had to just catch them in the wild.
Yeah. And like it's crazy to see just the evolution that we've gotten. You know, Pokemon Go gave us the idea of like, well, you, the trainer, get to throw balls at a Pokemon and try to catch it. Then we got Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee, which, you know, put that into a video game format.
It's like the same concept as Pokemon Go, yeah.
And then we got Sword and Shield, the wild area of like, hey, what happens if we have this big open area that you can like see the Pokemon in? Arceus,
you can catch what you want.
Yeah, catch what you want.
They're available to be seen.
And then Arceus is like, well, what happens if we just combine those last two ideas together? And now it looks like Scarlet and Violet is going to be, what if we just put all of the pieces together now?
Yep. And I do like that because it makes it feel like a more realistic world with the wild area stuff. Just because it's like...
Yeah, Pokemon's become more and more of a living entity through all this.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, they always say, like, Detective Pikachu in the film, they're like, Pokemon just roam around the world with their trainers and, you know, blah, blah, blah. They're just, like, around, right? But in the games, you don't... I mean, you see people walking around with Pokemon for sure, but it's, like, mainly encountering them in the wild is you're walking through bushes and then a freaking purple snake jumps out at you and you're like, holy crap. So this wild area is amazing to walk through an environment, just see Pokemon hanging out, man. There's, like, a bunch of... Yeah, there's guys in the water and there's guys in the grass and there's birds flying in the air and it's this whole thing. It's amazing to see this whole kind of concept really come together, really fleshes out the world of Pokemon a lot more.
I remember growing up thinking, man, how cool it would be to be able to see like Pokemon in the game just kind of like, you know, doing their thing. You know, they're a water type in water or they're like a grass type, you know, taking a snooze in a tree. And I feel like we're getting more and more towards that aspect of like, you know, I feel like the only way they can advance now is to go into Pokemon VR. Like, I feel like we're hitting that point almost.
I'll be honest with you. Pokemon VR you're just hitting too close to Digimon. That's Digimon. Digimon's whole bit. It's like they're in the digital space now. So
Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are Pokemon.
don't start talking to me about Digimon. It'll be a whole tangent. This whole news episode is just going to be me talking about Digimon.
But going on past that now, we're going to see Wonder Trades return. You're going to be able to randomly trade Pokemon with, other people.
I freaking love Wonder Trades. I used to be a really bad person and just like catch some like level 3 garbage and Wonder Trade it in the hopes that I'd get like a legendary or a shiny or something.
Yep.
One time I got I can't think of the freaking guy. He's like the grass steel type lad. Pharaoh Seed. Pharaoh Seed turns into Ferrothorn. And he had like the type specific egg move, like Gyro Ball, or it's like the steel. Yep. You can only get it from an egg. And I got an amazing that was Pokemon X. Holy crap, I played so much X. I had a level 100 freaking Sylveon. I would rock my fairy type lad. And then anybody else who's like, I'm going to use fairy type, just hit him with the steel type freaking Ferrothorn Gyro Ball. Man, that was so much fun.
So let's talk about what I would consider to be kind of the divided section of what they show in the trailer, where there are people on one side that are all for it, and there are people on the other side that have some reservations, and that is the new box art legendaries. So we got to see them in the trailer in action, see how they are going to move and everything.
So I'd like to ask you a question. Do you have reservations about the legendaries? Are you worried?
I want to say I'm kind of in the middle. There's some things I wish they didn't do.
Sure.
Because I feel like we're getting a little far away from what Pokemon is. But at the same time, I'm like, that also looks a lot like some other Pokemon I know.
Yeah.
To give an idea of how I think of Pokemon, I feel like Vanilla Ice, the snow cone Pokemon,
ice cream
Pokemon,
yeah.
I don't honestly feel like he should be a Pokemon. It's kind of this bland kind of idea.
Oh, I got you. You're like a Klefki. Shouldn't be a Pokemon. Really?
No, I like Klefki.
Okay, we like Klefki.
Klefki's a fairy that collects keys.
Okay.
And so I'm totally for that.
Okay. Poltegeist, we're okay with that.
Yep, Poltegeist is pretty nifty.
Okay. Rotom.
Rotom, I think, is an interesting idea. I feel like we could have done a little bit better with Rotom.
You don't like the microwave Rotom, washing machine Rotom.
Like Rotom, the little energy guy.
The little guy is cool, but when he turns into a washing machine, you're like...
the electric ghost, idea is super nifty.
Maybe we could have done something a little... Sure, so...
I'm trying to think of like the other ones I just don't really care for. What's his name? Avalugg, where he's just like a... table, basically.
Sure.
He looks
I'll
like
be honest.
An iced coffee table.
I'll be honest. Not heard of that before in my life, but I absolutely believe that it's the truth.
I'm trying to think of like just some other random ones. I'm just like, man, I don't know how I feel about all these. The garbage dude from
Garbodor. Yeah.
Garbodor, yeah.
Yes.
I get it. You wanted another muck type Pokemon.
Yeah.
That I don't think was the answer.
They're like, humans pollute too much. You made this.
Yeah,
Look at him. You made this.
For those that don't know how this Pokemon came to be, Garbodor, was the fact that we as humans polluted so badly that the garbage gained sentience and life.
Imagine you didn't take your trash out for so long, it became a living entity and like started like attacking you with like sludge.
Bob, the garbage is alive.
Will you take out the garbage or will the garbage take out you? It's like a whole,
oh my God,
whole like deathly concept, man.
But like, I don't think all the new designs are bad. It's just like some of them are just not good.
How do you feel about Colossal? He's the third one. He's like a big coal guy. But the second one, he's like a minecart full of coal.
Yeah, that was weird. Colossal, I think, is okay. I don't like his design overall.
Yeah, he kind of looks. I feel like there's a lot of Pokemon who look like that. Have that like kind of like hunched. He kind of looks like Palkia a little bit, right? Or it's like they have like a tall thing on their back and they just kind of stand there. There's like a steel type guy. Everybody home's like, dude, he's talking about freaking Avalon, the table guy, right? Yeah. There was like a steel type guy. He was like a building. His back was like a building.
Yeah,
or something.
there's a steel dragon that's like a skyscraper, and I'm like,
yeah, he looks the same as Colossal.
Yeah, I caught one in game, and I was like, man, this guy sucks. I nicknamed him Duracell because he reminded me of a Duracell battery.
How mean. Dude, I named my Colossal Naughty because of Santa Claus. So that's what I was rocking. I was rocking the Cole.
But I mean, like,
group.
Colossal, I don't think is a bad Pokemon. I just don't think he was designed the best.
Look, I can agree with this. The minecart one, I was like, he's shaped like a minecart. I don't like that. I think it's kind of silly.
You know, I just feel like these were Pokemon that were thrown in because... And not, like, there was no other reasoning. It was like, hey, I made this design. And it's like,
yeah, it's like,
why? And
this this Colossal minecart guy, he's like, yeah, we use him to move the coal from one part of the mine to the other. You know what else could do that? Just a normal freaking minecart. Maybe it doesn't need to have eyes.
Go grab a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't need to have eyes and breathe all the time, you know? Maybe my keys can just be keys and not like an entity that's stealing keys and attacking me with keys.
So, I mean, like, you know... There are some Pokemon I think definitely fit that. Like, you know, I have been called I think I've said this before when we talked about Pokemon the first time. I've been called a dirty Gen 1er because I love the original 151.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're all really great. There are faults within them, but, you know, that's what made Pokemon Pokemon. So, like, it's just kind of like those are Pokemon.
Yes.
But, like, as we went through the years, I don't think I really had issues until, like, Gen 5 is when I was just kind of like, what, guys? Wait, hold up.
Black and white, you were like, whoa, put the brakes on a little bit. Well, let's talk about what these legendaries really look like. So we're going to mispronounce these probably, it's fine. Miraidon. Miraidon, he is the purple violet legendary. He's got like jet boosters on his legs.
Yeah.
He's going to fly through the sky at the speed of sound. And then you got Miraidon, and then you got Koraidon. And he's a dragon. It looks like he's got like a wheel in his chest. Big wheel.
And that's the Scarlet legendary.
Yes, and he's red. They both look like dragons. So they're these cool bipedal dragons standing there with jet boosters and a wheel in his chest, and I think they look fine.
So this is where I'm having issues with these. Is that, like, the jet booster guy, he looks cool, but why jet boosters?
Why jet booster guy?
Like, why does there need to be fire coming out the bag?
Yeah, I mean, we've been touching on this territory a little bit since, like, Sword and Shield. Zacian and Zamazenta. Zacian, I think it's Zacian, it might be Zamazenta. I'm pretty sure it's Zacian, though. Zacian's just like a dog holding a sword in his mouth. He's just like, it's not like a sword is built into his design, which would be like his tail was a sword. That would have been cool. No, he's just holding a sword in his mouth.
Which, like, I kind of get that because, like, in the lore, you know, trying to be all high and mighty here. Like, I think he's holding, like, the relic of what the sword was.
Yeah, I mean, it's like England.
Yeah.
You know, Excalibur, whole deal, etc., etc.
And I think that's what they were trying to go for. And, like, you know, that's cool.
But it's also just like...
But is it Pokemon cool?
Zamazenta, the shield was built into his mane. You know, it just... if it was,
I feel like Zamazenta is the better thought process Pokemon.
Yeah, see, if Zacian was like Zamazenta, where this sword was built into this design, and it wasn't, he was just like, I'm holding a sword.
The sword totally could have been his tail.
Yeah,
like, it would have been such an easy thing.
We could have worked it into the design, would have been fine. So I feel like maybe I'm kind of on that train a little bit, where I'm like, jet boosters is cool, wheel is cool, I'm not offended by the design. Maybe we could have worked it in a little bit, because it's just like, the jet boosters are just like attached kind of to his feet.
It's kind of like the feet or the legs of him.
And you know, it's like you have the legs, and then the jet boosters kind of like stick out to the side a little bit. I'm like, we could have like maybe integrated those a little more. Like if the design was a little cleaner. If the wheel.
Like, so the thing with Miraidon is the fact that, like, that Pokemon reminds me of Latios and Latias.
Yeah.
Very heavily. Like,
and they just be flying. They just got wings. That's it, you know?
Well,
no jet boosters needed.
They're Aeon Pokemon. They're like, I think that's like time or something.
Right.
However that all works into the Pokemon lore. But, like, you know, they're technically like levitating essentially.
Yeah. They fly now, in other words.
Yeah, they fly
in
a very, you know, super complicated way that didn't need to be that way.
Yes.
I get that their design has kind of like shifted into this new generation, but it's the jet boosters that are just getting me. Like, they just look so out of place.
Okay, we're gonna bring this back a little bit. Toxtricity.
Which one's that one again?
He's a purple lizard guy.
Purple lizard that is like...
He has a guitar.
Oh, that's right.
He has like
guitar.
he's holding, quote, an electric guitar because it's made of electricity.
No, that's so dumb.
Okay,
Like the big giant lizard, I'm like, cool, whatever.
Yeah. Holding guitar with a mohawk, you're like, wow.
What's the artillery one that came out in Sword and Shield?
Well, I don't know. You said artillery, and all I can think of is artillery.
Yeah, I know. I mean, well, that's the thing. Like, if we look back on like older designs of Pokemon as well, going off of that idea there, artillery was meant to be a tank.
Yeah.
But it turned into an octopus.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense. It's a Pokemon.
Yeah. Our artillery.
And Remoraid was supposed to be a gun, but it turned into a fish.
Yeah.
Like,
that's how Pokemon work.
I feel like there's so much better ideas you could go with.
Also, sorry, Remoraid was supposed to be a gun?
Yeah, Remoraid was supposed to be a gun. If you look at the original sprite designs, it's a gun.
I was going to say, Remoraid is just like a ugly fish.
Yeah,
like,
no.
At no point does his design go...
legitimately, if you look up, like, the old artillery and Remoraid designs, they're supposed to be a gun and tank, which is just so random.
Yeah, not at all what they turned into.
Going back to, like, the artillery lookalike, it's Brawl something. It's an octopus that wants to fight.
Oh, he's got the boxing gloves.
It has boxing gloves.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Like, all right, so, like, going back when I said, like, the 151st had, like, their own issues, Hitmonlee, not bad. Kind of cool. It looks a little weird that he's like a blob.
He's just like a guy, yeah.
But, he's a kickboxing one. Hitmonchamp literally has, like a full-on, like, weird, like, leotard suit and boxing gloves for hands.
Hear me out, though. How do you feel about Hitmontop?
Hitmontop, I think, was pretty interesting. I mean,
it's cool. I like when
he
they
didn't look weird. He wasn't wearing like
looks weird. He's got like a top on his head.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but no, I mean, I really like that gen. I think it was 4th gen.
Hitmontop? Hitmontop is second.
No, I know. I'm just saying, I really like when they add the extra evolutions and stuff.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's like they had Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee. Well, then they made Tyrogue. So Tyrogue evolves into them. And then Tyrogue can also evolve into Hitmontop. Stuff like that, where it's like things that didn't have an evolution that gain an evolution. I'm looking at it.
I'm showing Josh Artillery's original design.
Yeah, Artillery has like a shell around it, which makes it kind of look like a tank. I do see that. Now that's a cool design. But what we ended up was just like an octopus. It's just like a guy.
Oh, here you go. So this is Tangela, Delibird, Meowth, and Artillery's original designs. And we'll describe these as well.
Okay, Delibird is good. It's kind of similar to what we have now, but it's way more easily Santa Claus. The Artillery tank design does look really good. Tangela is like...
a mess.
Get that demonic thing away from me. Some blue blob with like tentacles.
And when I say mess, I'm not talking about how Tangela is like a mess of wires. No, this one just looks...
This is like evil.
When
I look at it, it's like that.
It's thing. Less tangled and more evil.
That thing, it's got like a demonic grin on its face.
You don't see the eyes anymore. It's just a mouth.
It's just a mouth. Yeah, it's very bad. And Meowth, look, I would have been happy with that Meowth design. He's like a little guy.
Yeah, this honestly looks like it could be like Meowth's like baby form.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It looks like a kitten. That's what it looks like. A very small Meowth that's sleeping.
Okay, let's move on from Pokemon, or the whole episode we'll just talk about Pokemon.
There you go. That's the gun
Remoraid. Oh my!
He was supposed to be like a revolver or something.
Holy crap! Now that you show that to me, I totally get it.
It makes a lot more sense, doesn't it?
That's so crazy. He does look like a revolver. That's like, the RE and Remoraid. Wow. I'm really, dude, I've got to go home and like think about my life now that you've showed me that concept art.
Oh, all right. And then these are now the two that we see.
Yeah, it's just a fish and an octopus. You just completely lose it, I think, Like the lines trying to be like the barrel of the revolver. When you showed me that last image, I was like, holy crap, I totally get it. But the current thing, I just lose it,
Yeah, so I mean, like, Pokemon go through so many designs. I think that's the big thing to take away here is that they pick one. It's kind of like how it was supposed to be Pikachu, Raichu, and then another.
There's gonna be another one, yeah.
And like that one just I think looks awful. But like I think people forget that like Pokemon don't just go through one design. I don't like these certain Pokemon. That's whatever. There are people out there that love Vanilla Ice. They think it's the coolest Pokemon ever.
Yeah, the ice cream cone. He is my friend.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how many designs did he go through that we don't know yet? Because we didn't get these until it hit the cutting room floor.
Maybe he too was a demonic entity,
Yeah.
like evil.
Yeah,
Tangela.
we didn't get any of these designs till it hit the cutting room floor, and they did a deep dive into the Space World demo. I think of like 2000. I think it was for gold and silver. So I mean, we haven't had another huge leak like that since what was that, like 3-4 years ago now?
I'm just blown away that everybody always makes a joke. They're like, "Oh, when's Pokemon gonna do a gun Pokemon?" Now that you showed me that freaking Remoraid render, dude, they already did a gun one like freaking 7 generations ago, man. That's crazy. I'm blown away by that.
So to end off our Pokemon rant here, that we've been going on for almost a half hour at this point.
Seriously, you guys need to please go type in like Remoraid gun concept art. It'll change your life. I'm still blown away by that.
There's going to be a Pokemon Go themed set of Pokemon cards that is soon to be released with some promotional events happening in the game.
Yeah, I think you can buy like a shirt or a hat with the logo, blah, 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 whatever. But yeah, it's going to be like Pokemon Go themed cards, which is cool. They've done, I think Melmetal already had a couple cards in the trading card game.
Melmetal's had some cards.
So it's not going to be the first time, but you're probably going to get like the Professor, the Pokemon Go. I don't remember his name. I play it all the time. I still don't know. Pokemon Go Professor.
I never look at his name. Just know he exists.
My brain can't think of it. But yeah, I'm sure you'll get some cool trainer items that are related to like the berries or something in the game. It'll all be like Team Rocket Go or something might make an appearance in the set. It'll be cool. I think it'll be fun. I hope the art features the little circle, like when you're trying to catch them.
Oh,
I think that would be like not on all, but on some. I think that'd be a funny little.
Or like you see the ball in like the art, and then it's just a little like red circle or something. You're like, oh, he's gonna get it.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Let's move on to our next piece of business here. It's the Sony State of Play.
Woo!
We're recording this on the 7th. I believe the State of Play came out on the 2nd, something like that. It was like a less than a week ago.
Yeah,
Still kind
of a little bit, before us recording.
Yeah, it was a little bit ago, but let's talk about it. Now, I was really excited. I think a lot of people were really excited for this State of Play, and I think a lot of people got let down because we're still kind of waiting to hear about some big properties. We got teased on Marvel Spider-Man 2, which is coming out next year, 2023. God of War is still supposed to come out this year. They haven't announced a delay yet. The rumor is that they're still on track for it to come out like holiday of this year, but we just have not. I mean, we're halfway through the year, right? We just haven't seen a lot on the new God of War. So I think they're probably going to do, my guess is they would do like some 30-minute like, here's a bunch of cinematics and we're going to break down the whole thing. I could see them doing that, but people were disappointed we did not hear any God of War news, and we didn't hear a lot of news from a lot of these properties. I think I was reading an article somewhere that was talking about how like we have not seen information on like about 75, maybe it's even higher, 75% of the like big AAA things that Sony Interactive is releasing.
It makes you wonder what Sony's waiting on.
Yeah, what are they waiting for? Are we going to do some like 3-hour E3-esque, here's our ultra state of play where we release, freaking 800 trailers and we get the man from the Xbox one to go, Xbox PlayStation exclusive.
World premiere.
World premiere. PlayStation exclusive.
Before we get too deep into this, while we were looking up news bits, I had found like quote unquote leaks for the state of play. And like I was like, man, I wonder if these are actual leaks that just are now surfacing.
The two that really got me, you read God of Peace.
Yeah, God of Peace
as a sequel to God of War, and then you said God of War Egypt, which makes no sense because literally the end of the PS4 one was them being like, yeah, we're gonna fight more guys in like the Norse mythology.
And I think the one we both had a good laugh at was Tony Hawk versus Tekken.
I told Alex when he said Tony Hawk versus Tekken, I said I would play the hell out of that. I would beat the hell out of Heihachi with a skateboard. Man, it would be so good. Actually, that is kind of funny. We are going to talk about a game that I consider similar to Tony Hawk in the state of play. So we'll hit the first big one. This one's kind of big news. Marvel's Spider-Man is coming to PC on August 12th, which is big news, right? Sony does not really let go of their exclusives very much. I know Horizon
Horizon was a big thing.
When that came out on PC, it was a big deal.
Traction.
God of War, I think this year came out on PC. Maybe it was last year. But recently, that came out on PC too. I know a ton of people
There have been some heavy hitters that have hit the PC lately.
Yep. And Marvel Spider-Man is heading the same way. Get ready to see a bunch of like edits. It's going to be like CJ from GTA San Andreas swinging through the streets of New York or something.
That would be so good.
Follow the damn train, CJ. So yeah, that's exciting. Spider-Man coming to PC for all those people who are like, I'm not going to get a PlayStation. Who needs it? Now you can play one of the best games on the system. So actually, you can play, like we mentioned, God of War and Horizon. You can play most of the best games on the PS4. Stray is coming out. There's a lot of buzz about this one. You play as a cat. It's just a cat. You just walk around as a cat. It's not like a cartoon cat and you play blah blah. It's just like you're like a real cat.
I was told on the internet that you don't mess with cats.
Yeah, I would agree. This cat has a sweet future backpack because it's the future. It's like cyberpunk, and Keanu Reeves says, "Wake up, cats! We've got a city to burn." Boo doo 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 doo. Didn't know. So you just play as a cat. It's like a future cyberpunk. There's robots and stuff. It's like a platformer. They showed a bunch of little robot rat guys chasing you around. But you play as a cat. I'm excited. I want to play it very bad. My cats kind of freak out when they hear other cats like meowing and stuff. So I don't know. I'm worried that I'm going to play it and my cats are going to freak out. But it looks cute and I like it. It reminds me of like Limbo and Inside in the way that it's like, oh, you play as this cute little guy. If anything bad happens to him, I will scream and die. So please, when you play Stray, protect that kitty at all costs. They showed Callisto, the Callisto Protocol, which is a new IP. I'll be honest, I didn't do a lot of research on it. It's like a new space horror game, and they showed a very high-quality pre-rendered cinematic. Looks spooky, reminds me of Dead Space. I don't know if that's the point. Kind of seemed like it was. Not my thing, but, I mean, space horror stuff's kind of been the thing for a while. Soma was really popular when that came out. Trying to think, what was the other? Prey came out. It's not really horror. It kind of is, but...
kind of.
I always think of Control. I don't think Control's in space. Maybe it is. It tells you what I know about video games. Eternites, which this is going to be a game for Alex. Anime game, action game, dating sim.
I'm looking everything up and like, I'm laughing at some of this.
Yep.
So for the... I literally can't help myself here. They got demos to play for some of, what's been out there. You can press R2 and you can hold hands.
R2's hold hands.
Man,
do you think you have to unlock
somebody
that?
Censor that.
Do you have to like multi-class into the holding hands tree, or?
Oh my god, there's so much here that I want to know.
I'll be honest,
much more.
I saw that trailer. I was in Milwaukee over the weekend, and I watched the State of Play, and I saw the trailer for Eternites. I said, "Wow, Alex is gonna enjoy the crap out of this game. This is like built for him."
Oh my! So a thing for me is that I am a huge like vanillaware RPG, JRPG guy. I talked about Omega Quintet on the podcast a while ago.
I'll be honest, I don't even remember you doing that.
No, it's so bad. But for me, I just love it all. I think they are just horribly great. And there's always some bad like level up system you have to go, and it's like, oh, you need to grind through all of this to get this. It like, I don't play these games all the way through. A lot of times I just look up like what the story is because like sometimes they interest me. But like, oh my god, you telling me I can hold R2 and hold hands?
See,
it's gonna be AO for sure.
See, I think we talked a little bit about this because we talked about how in JRPGs I always find it really frustrating the use system to describe things to you. They're like, whoa, your cascading resonance has hit the strionic crystal resonator. I'm like, what are you doing?
So good.
Just say my ultimate is ready, man. I'm losing my freaking mind. Say, you can do cool magic now. You don't need to be like, oh, the Magi Eye has granted you... Dude, just like say I can use magic powers now.
Oh my god. Kotaku has the best headline for this. New Persona-inspired JRPG has you fighting the apocalypse while holding hands lewdly.
There you go. That's exactly it.
A lot of people are saying that's great for people that love Persona. I have high hopes there. I love Persona and all the Shin Megami Tensei stuff.
A lot of people like Persona. So hopefully that's good news for Persona fans. Well, I've got one that's great for Josh. We got one. Eternites is great for Alex. Rollerdrome is great for Josh.
Before we completely move on to Rollerdrome there, it's also supposed to be a dating sim.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh,
yeah.
did you? All right, you did mention that.
Action, that's what they said in the thing.
Oh.
Action game / dating sim.
Oh, I'm so on to this. All right, back to Rollerdrome.
Dude, if you just play Boyfriend Dungeon, you'll get the same kick. You date the weapons. It's great. Rollerdrome is Tony Hawk meets arena shooter. Think like Quake or something.
Dang.
You're in this arena. I don't think it's multiplayer. I don't know a ton about it, but I watched some trailers. You are on roller skates. There are half pipes. You go up on half pipes and do backflips and spin around like a freaking ballerina in the air on these roller skates. And there are enemies who are trying to shoot you and damage you that stand in the arena. And your goal is to gun them down while looking as rad as hell. So you're doing like backflips in the air, and so it's like a third-person shooter, but you're on roller skates doing backflips and spinning around. And it's coming to PC and PS4 and PS5, and I'm so freaking excited.
And then in the middle of all that, Chad Muska pulls up and goes, "Sick moves, dude. Here's a board."
And then Heihachi shows up, and you have to freaking nail him from the top rope, man. No, I'm very excited for Rollerdrome. I literally, somebody came into work today being like, "You guys see that state of play? Man, Rollerdrome looks like a ton of fun." I was like, "Yeah, this guy gets it. Rollerdrome does look like a ton of fun." Now, this is a big one, too. I'm excited about this. Street Fighter 6 was announced.
I'm sorry, I'm still playing Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Oh, great news. Street Fighter 5 came out that's like dude, Street Fighter 5.
Wait, they got past 2?
Street Fighter 5 was like the GTA 5 of Street Fighter games. Like, they would not let it die. It was like, it had been out, I think it's been out for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Or like, it was like mid to early PS4 era.
I have a friend that's been playing on that with ranked matches, trying to get like
And
way
they're,
up there.
Up till like last year, they were still releasing new characters for 5. It's not like 5 was getting like no support. It was like they were still like they would release new characters and retool balance patches.
There's like this huge online community for it too. My friend was playing ranked matches, and I was like, "Oh, you know, he's a pretty decent game fighter, but like this man's been playing this game for like literally 2 years at this point, just obsessively." I looked at his ranking. He was in the top like 100,000 of all players playing, and I'm like, that is insane. You know, for some people that aren't familiar with how ranked matches work and all that, if you're in the top 100,000 players, you're probably in like the top 5-10% somewhere in there.
Way high. It's going to be a low percentage for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just this crazy number because there's millions of people that play this.
Yeah, I mean, Street Fighter 5 got the support that like most fighting game fans would like to see out of their favorite fighting game. I mean, like, what I think in the span of Street Fighter 5 being out, MKX, Mortal Kombat X, and 11, like 10 and 11, I think both existed by the time Street Fighter 5 was out. But I mean, like, I'm trying to think. I don't know how many DLC waves there are for Street Fighter 5. There's a lot, though. I want to say at least 3 or 4. I think Tekken 7 got 3 or 4 waves of DLC. Soul Calibur 6 got 2. MK11 had, like, I think there was 2 or 3 big ones. I think it was just 2, maybe. But I think X maybe had 1 or 2 as well. But, like, by fighting game standards, I mean, like, right now the longest running fighting games was, like, Tekken 7 and Street Fighter 5, which had just been out for the longest, receiving a ton of support. So now that Street Fighter 6 has been announced, and they showed kind of like I think like a little bit of an open world kind of story mode, which is kind of way different than anything else. Like, all the other Street Fighter games have just been like, hey, pick a character and fight, and there's some story stuff sometimes, and that's like it.
I feel
Having
like
a big open world game is a kind of a big change for them.
I feel like fighting games are becoming more and more of a niche game almost.
Yeah.
Because I mean, back in the day, the whole draw of a fighting game was that you would put your quarter in and play the guy that was on the arcade cabinet, you know, in front of you.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know who you're fighting. And it used to be a thing where people would go challenge each other and have to get good at the arcades.
Yeah.
And now it's more of like, oh, you know, we're on
There has
Mortal
to be,
Kombat 11.
There has to be a different draw, right? So
Yeah.
since Mortal Kombat 9, which was kind of the reboot after WB Games bought Mortal Kombat from Midway, it became less about, and even some of those later Midway games, it becomes less about, Street Fighter has stayed, in my opinion, pretty consistently with that, like, what you had mentioned, where it's just like people fighting. And that's
Street
kind of
Fighter
it.
is probably honestly the most
Like pure
essence of a fighting game.
just like pick a guy, fight a different guy. There's ladder matches and arcade and some slight story stuff by blah blah blah, but that's it. Whereas Mortal Kombat went the way of like cared way more about the story. It moved less away from like Deception. Mortal Kombat Deception, love that game. Like the main story mode in that game, you literally just walk around in open world and fight guys and talk with characters and find hidden chests and secrets and unlock stuff. And Armageddon had like a story mode where you went through levels and like it was like a brawler almost in ways.
And like I even think of like Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur is so like different from like traditional fighter nowadays. Because
I mean, even back in the day, like Soul Calibur 2 has like a level based like story mode that you can play through.
Like there's all this effort trying to make fighting games more interactive.
Yeah,
because
we care about
when you think about fighting game, it's just cut and dry. It's fight, somebody wins, done.
And that was kind of it. Like Street Fighter was like you were trying to fight to become the best, like the champion out of the Street Fighter tournament. And Tekken is very much the same, where it's like a nefarious man is putting on a tournament to see who is the strongest, right? So a lot of fighting games kind of had that. Obviously, Mortal Kombat is about a tournament, right? To see who is the strongest combatant.
I mean, if you look outside of like the big names, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Soul Calibur, all that. I mean, I feel like some of like the lower option, or not lower option, but just lower known games like In Night Under Birth is a fighting game that holds on to that purity of just cut dry fight.
So I mean, if we're really going to get into the thick of it here for fighting games, you've got different kinds of fighting games. So you have kind of your more, this is everybody who plays this competitively is going to beat me up. Mortal Kombat's going to be maybe fall on your more casual side of things, where it's
Mortal Kombat's flashy.
It's very flashy.
It's meant to be
Mortal Kombat,
eye-appealing.
Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter in some ways are appealing to a modern audience, where they're trying to make their game fun but accessible. You can't have these strings of 900 button input combos where it's like quarter circle forward back, boost EX move in midair combo cross up. There isn't a lot of these insane moves. Now, if you play something like Blaze Blue or there's another one that I'm missing.
The old King of Fighters game?
Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue. What's that other one?
King of Fighters?
Yes. No, the one you really want, though. It's Grandia versus something. It's the fantasy one.
Oh, all right.
It's on, like, PS4. Anyways.
Gran Blue Fantasy.
Thank you, Gran Blue Fantasy. So some of these other games, a lot of them are made by Arc Systems. Arc Systems, these games are like, you'll go to the training mode, it'll be like, do this combo, quarter circle, up, air, super move, then you have to like cancel a super move, fall down air, cross over to the other side of the it's just like, that's like the training mode is like, I would spend like hours trying to do one training combo that's like just insane timing.
And a lot of these in-depth fighting games are meant to be played with an arcade stick.
Yep.
And I feel that, nowadays, if you're looking at Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter is the only one that stays true and traditional outside of having to have a fighting stick for it. Granted, there are people that still use fighting sticks for both, but like, I mean, if you get into, Blaze Blue and stuff, like, you almost kind of need it if you really want to play.
Yeah, the insane amount of inputs you need, it would obviously help. But yeah, so like, another kind of, in my opinion, a kind of a dead giveaway of what kind of game you're fighting, or what kind of fighting game you're playing. Mortal Kombat has a button to guard. There's a button that's like block. There's a block button. In Japanese fighters, again, these like Arc Systems games, Chrono Trigger, Blaze Blue, there's not a block button. There's backwards. So moving backwards, if you're moving backwards and somebody punches you, that's a block.
Yep.
So you have to hold back to block.
That's been the traditional block since the arcades, though.
Yep. I mean, very true.
And then when we got into America, they started coming out with the block buttons.
Even then, Mortal Kombat has a block button.
Yep.
Like if you're playing it on the Genesis, holding the start button blocks, just straight up is a block button. So I mean, that's kind of, in my opinion, a way to tell what kind of fighting game you're playing. If it's more intense or if it's more kind of like casual and friendly. But anyways, we talked about fighting games for like 15 minutes. But I'm excited for Street Fighter 6. Ryu still has a beard. Chun-Li is there. They have the Soul Calibur thing. You can hold. I saw some like demo gameplay. If you hold a D-pad button on the loading screen, they make a different face. So if you hold up, Ryu's gonna make like an angry face. But if you hold down, he's making like a scared face or something, right?
That's good. I like
that in the old Soul Calibur games too. They showed Tunic, which is a cute. He plays like a little fox guy. It's like a Zelda kind of like Link's Awakening style, top down. It's pretty much a Zelda game. That's what I know about it.
Zelda clone.
I've heard good things. I mean, to say a game is based on Zelda, well, that's like pretty much every video game that's ever existed beyond the first Zelda game, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Okami looks in through the back window.
Freaking The Binding of Isaac looks in through my 2,000 hours played. There's a game called Season, A Letter to the Future, which this game looks really interesting. It's kind of giving me walking simulator vibes, walk around and take pictures and talk to people, which is okay. There are good games that do that.
Yeah.
Gone Home.
The Turing Test.
Yep. There's plenty,
Oxenfree.
There's plenty of good ones. It's like a second, the way the trailer was shot was like a second person. Everybody's talking about you. Like, whoa, she walked over here and she showed me her journal and there's a bunch of cool drawings in it. And they're like, she carries the sounds. She carries the sounds of the summer with her. And then she played Daft Punk's Get Lucky, which is the sound of the summer. No, she would play like you're recording sounds of like birds and stuff, and then you're playing them for people, and it reminds them of the summer, right? It looks cool. It's called A Letter to the Future, so it feels maybe like there's going to be like a whole climate change is bad kind of deal, but it still looks super cool. I am kind of excited for that, and it feels like something my wife would enjoy. All right, we're getting to some big ones. We'll start with the easy one. VR2, PSVR 2. They haven't shown what it looks like. I think there's maybe some like promo images, but they haven't really talked a lot about it or shown a lot up. But they are showing games in development.
I don't think the last news episode, but the episode before that, we talked a big section about how much money that PlayStation has been spending on their VR.
Yes, they're putting a ton of money into it, and that shows now, because let me read the list of games that they are making for the VR2. Resident Evil 8 is going to be getting like a VR update game. I don't know if it's going to be a standalone thing or if it's going to be probably just an add-on or some DLC or something, because you could play through all of 7, right? You could play through
all 7 was VR capable.
They put RE4, OG RE4s in VR now. You can play that on like Oculus Quest and stuff like that. I know a lot of people are getting a ton of mileage out of that. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2, which clearly people must have liked the first one, right? No Man's Sky, which I think is really cool. I think that would be super fun to play in VR and just explore sweet worlds in VR. There's a new game coming out called Horizon VR Call in the Mountains. Sony cashing in on one of their more successful properties to make a VR game based on it.
Oh, that makes me tempted to just get a VR.
It's like about climbing a cool mountain, and there's, I don't know. It kind of looked to me because they had a guy come and talk about it. He's like, my name's blah, 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 and I worked on Horizon, Call of the Mountain. Definitely kind of looks like a tech demo kind of game. It's like something you would get to be like, wow, look at how cool my VR2 is, right?
Yeah, but that reminds me of how Wii Sports was packaged in every Wii game, or Wii bundle.
And now it's like a $45 game because everybody still wants it.
The whole point of Wii Sports was to show, how great the Wii was, and everyone now loves it because it's amazing.
Sunshine was pretty much a tech demo for the GameCube, right? So just because it's a tech demo doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Then we're going to talk about, this is a big one, huh? It's one of those things that they were like, hey, this is coming out. And I'm like, oh, I totally forgot this was coming out. Final Fantasy 16. Looks like 13, in my opinion. Kind of looks like generic Final Fantasy, which is like, I don't know, kind of neither here nor there. People play Fantasy 14 online, right?
Yep.
Which looks like generic Final Fantasy. I know 15 really stood out in my mind, because you're outdoors, you're driving the car around, what a fun time. 16 is like, it reminds me of 13 because it's just like, a big army. There's kings and kingdoms warring factions. Which is, 15 is still about that.
Is there an hour-long tunnel I have to walk through?
That's the thing, is like, Final Fantasy 15, I'm like, you drive a car around. It's totally different than normal Final Fantasy. Literally, it's still like, you're the prince of a kingdom, and your dad dies, and you have to take over. It's just like the same thing, except you drive a car around.
Yep.
But my brain is like, dude, that's way different than any other Final Fantasy
There's
game.
a car, it goes vroom, vroom.
Exactly. I can put the cup noodle hat on, and this game freaking rules. Totally better than any of the other Final Fantasies. No, it looks like 13. Like I said, everybody looks good still. There's no... Look, I'll just break to you guys. It's no Stranger of Paradise 2. There's no Limp Bizkit. There's no Halo protagonist sitting around.
We're going to die on the hill saying that's like the greatest game
if you had to... Look, I'm going to call my shot now. I think Stranger of Paradise is going to be better than Final Fantasy 16. Still strong words. So, but, okay, they showed a bunch of armies. I think there's like kaiju battles.
That's crazy.
This is kind of a guess, kind of not, but in the trailer they show like, so you got your little armies, and then you have like your big like leaders kind of. So you have like Ifrit or Shiva or Bahamut, kind of your big Final Fantasy baddies. And there's 2 big health bars at the top, and they show these big baddies doing like their super moves, and these health bars are getting depleted. And I'm like, dude, do you get to like control these big dudes and have the big dudes fight the other big dudes?
Are we gonna Naruto storm this up?
Yeah,
with,
like it definitely looks
giant
like,
things.
It reminded me of like Brutal Legend, where there's like a strategy army element, but then like you're also trying to like beat the crap out of your enemy commander. But yeah, I don't know. They talked about it a little bit. I'll be honest. I kind of got my money's worth. They put Final Fantasy 16 in the end, and I was kind of like, my brain's kind of like, yeah, I'm done. I don't really care. It's something I might pick up when it comes out, but I'm not like, I've been waiting. Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Final Fantasy, and you're like, or not Final Fantasy, but the state of play. I mean, we've talked through it now, and while some people were kind of disappointed, we're missing 75% of what you said. The
Sony Interactive big
Interactive
AAA titles.
The titles we've been looking forward to. There's still a ton of meat on the bone here. Like,
yeah, I'm sure
we didn't get shorted.
I'm sure there are plenty of people who are like, "Holy crap!" News about Final Fantasy 16. I'm just not that kind of person. I played a bunch of 15, and I'm like, "This is kind of fun." It also kind of got tedious after a while. I also just think games are too big and like should be shorter. But
I don't know. I grew up playing 12. I had another friend that grew up playing 10. I had my fill of Final Fantasy for sure for the most part after those.
It's probably going to take. I think it would take a lot for a new Final Fantasy game to be like just like blow everybody out of the park. Like when Remake came out, everybody played Remake because everybody was like, dude, 7's the best one, blah blah blah. And then the Remake, holy crap, looked amazing, played amazing.
You basically give me a remake of like 8 or 9, and I would play through that as well easily.
They should just remake the best Final Fantasy game, Kingdom Hearts 1.5 Final Remix. That's what I think. And then we should put Jack from Stranger of Paradise in it, and he's like, I'm gonna find the Kingdom Hearts. Tell me about the crystals. And he puts a Limp Bizkit on and walks away. Gosh, don't you think you should turn that Limp Bizkit down? Tell me about the crystals. And he walks away. Well, let's talk about the one last thing in the state of play. Now, this is you can tell this is big news. I saved it for last. The tantalizing, like the dessert here. You got to eat the meat before you get the dessert. Well, this is in the state of play. They wasted no time. This is the first thing you saw in the state of play. Resident Evil 4 Remake. In line with the other ones, they did the Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 3 remake. People liked 2. 2 was really good. 3 came out. I didn't hear a lot about it. I think people were kind of like, it's not as good as 2.
Yeah, Nemesis was not always the biggest hitter, I think, in Resident Evil. Like, people loved it because of how far moving it was forward for the series, but I mean, like...
And also, Nemesis is cool.
Yeah, Nemesis is just kind of cool. I always heard more about the first and the second game and not much about the third. Even though the third's like, I don't know, like $50 or something.
It's still expensive now. All that classic stuff is now.
But like, I don't hear people talking about it like I do the others.
Yep. So Resident Evil 4 Remake, like I said, it's in line. We had Resident Evil 2, which was very well received. Resident Evil 3 Remake as well. Like you just said, 3 maybe wasn't the most popular. Well, I got great news. 4 definitely was.
How many times has 4 been remade? We had it on the GameCube.
So it came out on PS2.
PS2?
And GameCube. Was it on Xbox? I have not a clue.
No, I don't think it was on Xbox.
So it was on Wii.
It was on Wii.
It was on the 360, had to be.
Yep,
it was 360. On the PS3, had to be.
PS3.
So we're talking 5. It was on PS4 and Xbox.
Yep. And PC.
And PC, and it's on Quest. Like I said, you can do the VR. That came out. A lot of people were really excited.
What are we up to now? 8?
That's like 9. It's like 9, and then there has to be more. It's probably out on Switch. I think there was like a Resident Evil 4 on Switch.
Yeah, probably
had
on
to be.
Switch.
Had to be, right?
Did it come out on the Wii U?
Who knows? Probably like a digital download for the Wii U. That puts us at like 11 releases. It's the Skyrim of Resident Evil. So what did people like about it? Well, it really kind of changed the formula because a lot of the Resident Evils were like, so let's talk about 2. You were stuck in a police station. That's the whole game. You're in the police station, wandering around.
The other big thing was, before 4, everything was pretty much fixed angled cameras.
Yes, it was all you walked into a room and the camera angle was faced one direction, right? And that was it. 4, you had like a free camera, but it was like it took place outdoors. You were in like a spooky, creepy village. There were all these evil. They weren't even zombies, right? They were just like villager guys who were trying to like murder. You play as Leon Kennedy. And you're trying to save the president's daughter, Ashley, right? Wasn't that was the whole bit?
Ashley.
Yep. She follows you, and her AI is really bad.
Yeah,
I haven't played
terrible.
4 since I was like a kid.
I bought it for the Wii not too long ago, and I wanted to replay it because I was like, man, I love this game. I was like, oh, with the Wii, I can use the gun attachment.
Sounds really bad.
And I could just like aim and shoot. Holy crap, that'd be so much. No, you cannot.
Not a chance, huh?
Oh, that made me so upset.
But it has the inventory system, obviously, we know and love from the series, where it's like you open your backpack and you have to rotate the things, and then if you play it with your friends are going to judge you because your organizational skills suck. You had to do the typewriter, right, to save.
Yep,
you had
typewriter to save.
You had to get, like, the ribbons. Am I going crazy on that?
I
feel like you had to get, like... I feel like if you played on hard mode or something, you had, like, a limited number of saves.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Hard mode, you had to, like, collect saves, essentially.
Yeah. So you had to, like, put them in your inventory to, like, save.
And then, like, you had to get the roots for, like, health and stamina.
Yeah, the plants. You had to get the plants. And,
bullets were also super limited. You only had so much ammunition.
And that's kind of more Resident Evil staples is like ammo's limited and stuff like that. But also what people really remember from 4, and what I remember even not having played it that much, was the unique boss fights. Instead of just like zombies, there was like some big dude that you had to like drop rocks on him to kill him or whatever. You'd be like 3 guys who were kind of, each boss fight was kind of like in its own different zone, and they all had like essentially gimmicks that you had to do.
Yeah, there was the patterns. Dude, the small dude with scissors, if I remember right.
Yep.
The dude was creepy.
I remember the big dude in the cave, and you had to like drop rocks on a lady, I think, right? There was like an evil lady one.
Yeah, I think so. My favorite thing was that if you completed the game, I forget how you would unlock it, but there was an unlock at the end of the game where if you chose to do like New Game Plus, you could unlock a suit of armor for Ashley.
Yeah,
and
so
then she couldn't get kidnapped anymore.
She couldn't take damage. Yep. And not only that, so it's coming out March of next year, which is like all things considered pretty soon. That's what they said. There was something else. I'm going crazy. There was something else. It was like one of the big games where they were like, hey, it's coming out like the end of this year, where I was like, well, that's pretty soon. Anyways, it's releasing March of next year, and they're also working on VR2 content, like right away. So straight up, you'll just be able to play the 4 remake.
I think that's what people really want, is that VR content for it.
Yeah, people went crazy for that on Oculus, being able to play OG Resident Evil 4 on the Oculus. I have some friends who straight up bought a Quest so they could play RE4.
I mean, it's not a opinion, I think, at this point anymore to say that Resident Evil 4 is the most popular Resident Evil game made.
Yeah, absolutely. That, like, it has to be that or 7. Would be my guess for the most popular Resident Evil game. Let's move on to our last piece of news here.
All right, we're not doing quickie news this time around, guys. We're doing something else. We're going to do the unskippable cutscene. For this, we're going to be talking about movies. This is all going to be about gaming movies.
Video game movies.
Yeah, video game movies. So everyone's familiar with Sonic the Hedgehog and the movies that came out for that. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is the highest domestic grossing movie currently. It has
for video game movies.
For video game
not
movies.
Ever.
Yeah.
That would be insane. No, for video game movies, it's the highest domestically grossing.
It grossed $188 million domestically and $393 million worldwide. So for a video game movie, that's huge. $188 million.
Yeah, and then what I think the first Sonic, we had looked it up earlier, was like 138 or 148
Yeah, like
million.
139, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the second runner-up. And it's a new one on the block, new kid on the block.
That's the thing. So they're like, every time a new video game movie comes out, they're like the highest grossing video. Well, it's just because like movies are more expensive now.
Yep.
It's like more people are going to movies because that's what they do. So,
but Uncharted was released. Tom Holland played Nathan Drake.
and Mark Wahlberg played Sully.
Mark Wahlberg.
What a choice.
So for context, I haven't seen any of these so far. I want to so badly, especially the Uncharted movie. I'm a huge fan of the games, and
That makes you so sorry. I'm confused. You like the games, so you're like, I'm gonna go see the movie.
Absolutely,
full well knowing it's probably
yes,
just like AAA
absolutely.
Hollywood garbage.
Uncharted has grossed more than $400 million worldwide, and it somehow didn't beat out Sonic here.
Not in the States. Well, it's Sonic has the kid appeal, you know, and it's got Jim Carrey. And you got
huge
the star
kid
power.
appeal. Plus, Jim Carrey's a big name. Not to say that Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg isn't, but I mean,
dude, if you were like Jim Carrey's in a movie versus Mark Wahlberg's in a movie, I'll tell you which one I'm going to.
yeah. But here in the States, it grossed 148 million, placing it second in the most gross for video game movies.
Sonic, right?
And the reason we're talking about these two, besides the fact that they're based on video games, is that we got some rumors floating around.
The rumor mill doing what it does.
There's a rumor that there's going to be a Gran Turismo movie.
Like what? What's there?
There's no context of plot so far. There's no there's been rumors out there, but totally baseless.
I mean, hey, they made a Need for Speed movie, right? So I mean,
yeah,
and that had Aaron Paul in it.
And I just feel like, are they grasping at Fast and Furious at this point? Is that where we're at? Is that Fast and Furious has done so well for so long? It's time it needs competitors.
I'd be happy. I mean, is it really a competitor if this movie's about racing? If they make a Gran Turismo movie about racing, I wouldn't consider it a competitor to Fast and Furious unless they went to space and fought John Cena. So, not really a competitor in that sense. No, look, if it's just a movie about racing, like, bring me back to the good old glory days. Fast and Furious 2, Fast 2 Furious,
Tokyo Drift.
You bring me back to that level where it's just like street racing. That's cool. I don't know anything about modern street racing. I think it would be cool to see that.
Well, I mean, the important distinction here is that Gran Turismo is not about street racing, but about track racing.
It's track racing, right? So yeah, we're gonna have like a Ford v Ferrari-esque. I don't know, right?
Ford v Ferrari, one of my favorite racing stories ever. I would love to see a movie about that is just based in Gran Turismo land.
Yeah.
Also
known as Earth. The Gran Turismo takes place on Earth, I think.
I don't know, man. Have you seen those monkeys in a tree on the race course? I'm not sure about that.
Sure. But who's going to direct this Gran Turismo? What A-list director are we getting?
So there's been no confirmations. This is what Sony wants. This is what Sony Pictures is like, man, this is the guy. They are heavily eyeing up Neil Blomkamp to direct this.
Did Chappie, did District 9, did
Elysium.
Hey, Sony's out here. You know that guy who did those 3 movies about how the future's totally like messed up and how like technology is going to like change the lives for better or worse and how aliens are going to come to Earth? I want that guy to direct my movie about a car track racing game.
I looked at his credits and everything he's been in, and I'm just like, or not been in, but directed and stuff.
Worked on, yep.
And I'm just like, is this the guy that you really want? This guy? I mean, like, great director. I enjoyed District 9. I've yet to see Chappie.
Look, Chappie's amazing. Look, they're good movies.
But
they're not.
This is about racing and cars.
They're not car movies. They're like future, movies about what the future's like.
But I mean, they want him to direct this, and I think if he gets the directing role in it, I don't think it'll be a bad movie. I'm just curious on how it will be a racing movie.
I hope it's just like 2.5 hours of like car footage, and there's no plot, there's
no dialogue or anything.
Yeah, it's just like Gran Turismo. It's just like a car, it's like first person car footage.
But alongside this Gran Turismo movie that we are now apparently getting, we still got the Ghost of Tsushima movie that's supposed to be coming out at some point.
It's exciting.
It's still in production and everything. It's been confirmed.
I kind of feel the same way about that as I did. They were like, we're making an Assassin's Creed movie. I'm like, what do you mean you're making? Didn't you play the first freaking like 1, 2 Brotherhood Revelations? Did you play those games? That's the movie, man. Like,
yeah.
You don't need a movie. The cutscenes of the game are the movie, man. Like,
and then the other movie that we're waiting on is the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Look, I'm excited to see. I'll go see that. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. I'll see the Mario movie just because what a cultural touchstone in cinema. I'm sad no Bob Hoskins playing my live-action Mario anymore, but it will be exciting no matter what. But like I said, with the Ghost of Tsushima movie, it's cool that we're getting a Ghost of Tsushima movie. Also, the game is like
the movie?
Scenes. Yeah, like the entire game is like so beautiful and cinematic. Like that's the movie is playing the video game.
I feel like, and I think this is probably the consensus for a lot of people, with something that's so artistically thought through. The way I could describe it best is like if someone told me they're going to make a movie of Horizon Zero Dawn, I'd be like, no, please don't.
The game is the movie.
That game is so beautifully crafted and thought through, and like every kind of idea that they wanted to touch on was touched on, with a lot of care and thought put into it. That some Hollywood director would just come in and be like, we're going to cut that, and that, because it doesn't matter, and it won't look that good on screen.
We can't, it's 40 hours of story in your video game. We'll have to cut that into a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah.
So this gets moved, this gets changed, this gets, blah, 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 blah.
It's the biggest worry, I think, for a lot of people of like, man, there's this beautiful game that's going to get butchered now because they want a movie.
We talked about this a little bit. I was talking about how in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, at least the first one, I haven't seen the second one yet. And the first one, I mean, when I think Sonic, I think great music. I mean, the little blue hedgehog has had
iconic backgrounds and everything.
Yeah, 30 years of amazing music. Michael Jackson did some of the music for Sonic 3, uncredited. But
I think everyone knows the Green Hill song.
Exactly. There's amazing Sonic music.
I mean, that's such a
in the first movie. In the first movie, they didn't use any Sonic music. What a complete waste, man. There's so many great tunes they could have used. Like, what, do they not have the licensing? Oh, yeah, they do, because they made a movie on freaking Sonic the Hedgehog.
Not only that, but, like, every Sonic remake game that comes out comes with basically the CD.
They play Green Hill Zone. Yeah, and they all have, like, music options where you can go listen to the song. Like, imagine if they don't use any Mario music in the Mario movie, I'm going to be like, seriously, hire me on as like a producer. You guys clearly have no idea. If they don't play, if you watch Mario and they don't play like da 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 da, you're gonna be like, dude, what a freaking missed opportunity. They didn't play the Mario theme song.
The one song that's so centralized with Mario in general.
That's the whole thing.
Every Mario game ever, I think, has had that tune in it.
That being said, you know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna call my shot right now. Because it's like going to be like a children's movie, right? So they're going to get like Justin Timberlake to do like some song.
Oh my god!
It's going to be like a licensed song for the Mario movie. Yeah, that's
what's going to happen.
And he's going to like, it's going to be like, ba 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 ba, and then he's going to like do some rap about Mario or something.
I'm bringing sexy back.
I'm bringing Mario back. You other plumbers better watch your back. Yeah, something like that. Absolutely. I think that's going to be it for our news podcast today.
It's been a lot of fun talking about rumors and what the hell is a Gran Turismo going to look like.
Pokemon and fighting games and Neil Blomkamp's Gran Turismo film to be announced. But yeah, we'll drop some relevant links below, trailers and stuff like that. State of play, our email. As always, Neil Blomkamp, if you have information about Goblin Commander. Or Neil Blomkamp, if you want to do a Goblin Commander movie, I think that would be a great choice.
Oh, what an opportunity that's being missed right now.
Dude, the story's already laid out, man. What a great opportunity to tell that story. So, yeah.
Might have some trouble figuring out where the hell Jelko's rights are, but...
It's okay. We'll message CD Connection. We'll get something set up for Goblin Commander. Goblin Commander, the movie. Man, what an opportunity that would be. Okay, that's going to be it for us tonight. Like we said, we'll drop our email. Questions, comments, concerns, Goblin Commander info, Neil Blomkamp's info, so we can talk to him about our Goblin Commander movie. Just drop that, send an email, leave a comment, and we will talk to you next time.
I'm Alex.
I'm Josh.
This has been the Quick Save Podcast.
Good night.
Good night.